So, very good afternoon to everyone present here. So, I welcome you all to the second session of the fourth day of this online STC on current industrial practices in chemical engineering. So, the speaker for this session is Mr. Avdesh Dengias, Manager IFCO Kalol, who will deliberate on industrial processes for nitrogenous fertilizer urea. So let me introduce Mr. Avdesh Dengesh to everyone present here. We have amidst us Mr. Avdesh Dengesh, who is Manager Process with Indian Farmers Fertilizer Cooperative Limited and has 13 years of engineering work experience. He looks after the technical work related to ammonia, urea, utility and other departments. He also takes care of the certification of various raw materials consumed and handles environmental related issues from State Pollution Board, internal auditing and performance evaluation of different reactor in ammonia plant. Uh, Mr. Denges completed his BTech from Dr. MGR Educational and the Research Institute, deemed University Chennai in the year 2007. Uh, Mr. Denges is also a certified energy auditor and energy manager from BEE involved in energy return, energy audit and monitoring and verification under PAT scheme of Government of India. He also works as a certified lead auditor from BVQI and appointed AMR for coordinating with ISO, OHS, SAS, auditor for IMS certification at plant and EMS at township and ISO 50001. With these short introductions, I would like Mr. Dengas to conduct the session. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. R.S. sir. First, I would like to thanks to your management who give me such opportunity to speak on this platform. And I will also thank to our management also who gave me permission to speak on this platform. And let me tell you, first I would even thanks to this situation also. Because of this situation only, I can present at yourself only. Because being an industrial person, sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you properly.
Okay, okay. So, being an industrial person, we can never get a chance to speak on this such kind of the platforms only. So, let me tell you, if some students are coming in my industry, I can speak to them and I can tell to them. But in such kind of programs, which is happen in the university only, we will never get a chance to get speak on this such kind of platform. And even if we will not go to there because I doesn't have the time, because just like you say you are having the 5 day session on this program, but our company will not let you for the 2-3 hours also. But just I got the opportunity here because of this situation only and because of this technology only, so that I can tell you something about which I know in front of you. Okay, sir.
Yeah, this actually, I would say, this situation gave us this is great opportunity actually, so that as you said, that you want to share the things but don't have time to go and share the things personally. So this situation really gave us that the opportunity actually in that way.
Sir, just I would like to ask you one question, but who is the, matlab, the students are there, so many students are
Yeah.
there, and
Yes.
I am targeting which year kind of students only?
They are mixed actually, so you can say mainly this third year, final year, MTech students are there, faculty members are there. So
Okay,
everyone can understand it very well actually. That's what.
okay, sir. So shall I start my
Yeah,
presentation?
yes, yes, sure. So can you then minimize this? Yeah, yeah, we can see it now.
I am in a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
So just we are going to just like my topic only, that is the industrial process of manufacturing nitrogenous urea, nitrogenous fertilizer urea. So the content of presentation that we can see in the, just I would like to give the general introduction of my industry. If you will see, once you are going to manufacture the urea, then I will tell you that you will get buy one get one chance, like just like if I am going to tell you manufacturing of urea, then I have to tell how to manufacture ammonia also, because in the case of the urea, if you will manufacture the urea, then everyone's know that NSP react with 2 CO2 moles gives urea and plus water mole. So first my for the urea itself, my raw material is CO2 and ammonia. Okay, so now the ammonia, where comes the ammonia? Ammonia, so that in each and every urea plant, we have to see that there is a ammonia manufacturing plant is also. So before going to the urea plant, we have to tell about the ammonia plant also, of course. So now I am going to the general introduction, then manufacturing of process ammonia plant, then manufacturing process of urea plant. Then I have to go for the major current status of the fertilizer industry. That what is the happen in the and what is the future of the fertilizer industry, especially in the India only. So in our IFCO, if we see the manufacturing unit of IFCO and joint ventures, we are having in India, there are the 5 plants are there, in which 2 are in the Gujarat and 2 is in the Uttar Pradesh, and 1 in the Odisha only. And I am working in the Kalol plant, and Kandla, Phulpur, Aula and Paradeep is also there. And Kandla in Kandla and Paradeep, we are making the DAP, and Kalol, Phulpur and Aula, we are making urea plant, urea only. And these are the joint ventures also of the IFCO plant, IFCO. That IFCO Tokyo Insurance, IFCO Kisan Sanchar Limited, IFCO E-Bazaar, IFCO MC, Aquagri Processing. These are the joint ventures of various, and in the overseas, can you hear me, sir? I am unable to hear, sir. Hear you, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, you are
uh,
audible.
Okay, okay.
we can hear you. You can go on.
So this is a general introduction of the IFCO Kalol plant. That year of commissioning is 1975, and after it the first investment is 710. Then we went for the in 1997 we went for the expansion only, and after that there are so many energy saving projects are there. In 2004, 2006 we have done energy projects, and in 2016 and 2016 and 17 recently we have also done one energy saving process. So present feedstock is our natural gas. So this is the just brief of the IFCO Kalol. So you can see that even from 1975 to now to today's 2020, from the past 45 years, old plant is there, and if you will ever come in my plant, you will never know that this plant is 45-year old plant. You will see that that plant is very new plant only, and it is working in a very fine manner. Even the technology provider, who are the MW Kellogg and STEMI Carbon, those persons came to my plant and they just saluting us. If sir, even the if you will see in the world itself, the major plant age is according to approximately 25 to 30 years, and after 25 to 30 years, every plant got that means some problem is coming, so that they will be shut down. But after the 45 years, it is here you can see that IFCO Kalol is running, and it is giving very good performance. That I will in the last slides I will tell you those things also. So product of IFCO Kalol plant is neem coated urea, ammonia, and just recently we have introduced diesel. DEF, diesel exhaust fuel, and our present capacity is 1100 and 1650, and the technology who is provided is the MW Kellogg and STEMI Carbon. So now this much is only for the my company profile, and now we are going to.
Avdesh, Mr. Avdesh, just to know, this Kalol is you are talking of nearby of Vadodara location?
Yes, Vadodara only. It is near to Ahmedabad only.
Okay, okay. In between Vadodara and Ahmedabad, right?
No, in between, you can say in between Mehsana and Ahmedabad.
Okay, okay. Because I know something Halol and Kalol are there in that area.
Halol is different and Kalol is different.
So you are located at Gujarat.
Gujarat, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, sir. So now we are going to tell about the how we are going to make ammonia only. So let me tell you this reaction from the 12th standard. I would like to say that this reaction we have seen that nitrogen reacts with 3 hydrogen gives 2 moles of ammonia only, and I am not going to tell you very much technology regarding this, but from the 12th standard, if we will see this reaction, and now we are going to discuss how to manufacturing it, then you will get that this simple reaction, how it is going to manufacture, that is very good to see now. So by reaction we can see that the raw material which we require, nitrogen and hydrogen. Okay, just nitrogen and hydrogen. Okay. Now before going to the any raw material selection, because nitrogen and hydrogen both are the raw material for my ammonia plant, ammonia only. So first what will I have to see? I have to see cost of material. Of course, anything which we are going to make, that first things comes with the cost of the material. Our raw material should always be cheap. Material properties, form of the material, whether the material is toxic, and rules and regulations. Because rules and regulations comes in the government sector, many things which we have to import. There is some many rules and regulations which even so many raw materials are there which we are not able to directly import also. So, but what is our overall motto, that whatever raw material we will take it, but our cost of the energy, cost of the production should be always be less. That is our main motto before producing anything else, and before designing any plant, and before designing any process. Our main issue is this: how to reduce the cost of raw material, and how to reduce the cost of technology, how to reduce in such way that our COP of the, that means cost of the production, will reduce. So while going for the raw material, that we know everyone that the source of the nitrogen is air, that we will get from the 79% is from the volume is air, is nitrogen is there. Okay, and the source of the hydrogen we consider as a hydrocarbons. Okay, okay, in hydrocarbons we can consider natural gas, naphtha, and coal. Okay, water, just I have slightly just strike it out, because in the case of the water we cannot directly utilize in the water, because it is very, that means breaking the water into the two components, hydrogen and oxygen. It is a very energy extensive process. So we cannot use directly water, but indirectly we are using water also to producing the hydrogen, which I would like to tell you in the later on. So my source for nitrogen, I am using air. For hydrogen, I am using hydrocarbons, natural hydrocarbons which we can utilize natural gas, naphtha, and coal. At present here we are utilizing natural gas. Previously we are using naphtha also, but later on some regulations came from the government, and we have just in the feed section we have just eliminate the naphtha section from our plant. So process for ammonia production, while we are going to the ammonia produce, so these are the 5 levels.
Avdesh ji,
Yes,
hello.
yes, I can hear you.
Can't we use direct hydrogen for this? Means like the hydrogen which are produced at chloralkalis plant, caustic chloride plant.
Yes,
So
sir,
can't we use that hydrogen directly?
you can use directly hydrogen if you are getting in the cheap rate. Okay, but the
Okay.
purity should be very good. And the other things, while making into the natural, while making into the urea, okay, you also want C component also. C means carbon
Yeah.
component. For carbon component, I have used hydrocarbons only.
Right.
Okay,
Okay. Understood.
okay, sir. But if I will get
Yeah.
CO2
Thank
from
you.
somewhere else also, then also it is good for me. Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So before, while manufacturing of the ammonia involves the following operation and following process. First is desulfurizer of the natural gas and naphtha. The other thing is pre-reforming and reforming. Third is water gas shift reaction. Fourth is CO2 absorption and stripping. Fifth is methanation. Sixth is ammonia synthesis. And seventh is refrigeration. And in between, so many utilities are there which I am not going to tell you about, because that process itself it will be very big process, and it will become very lengthy. So this is a brief description of the ammonia plant, which I have just sorted into the one format only. So LNG, which is natural gas, of natural gas is going into the desulfurizer. From there we are just removing the sulfur from here, and from sulfur we are utilizing the carbon, activated carbon, and we can go for the COMOX also, which is catalytic reactor. And after the desulfurizer, just we are introducing the steam here, and before going into the primary reformer. So just introducing the steam at here, okay, and the in primary reformer, just as the name it says, it is reformer. And I think in the tomorrow morning there is a one lecture is also in your session only, steam reforming.
Right.
Are you sorry? I am right, sir?
Yeah, you are the right. It was there actually, and unfortunately, that the speaker Nitin Mittal got corona positive, so he is
Okay.
taking
No
rest
problem.
actually.
Okay, no.
So at this place, Mr. Amit Verma from Dow Chemical will give the talk actually. So there's the question one from Aditya actually, Aditya Matare. So he wants the nitrogen we get from air. So
Hmm.
is there any instrument in which air is brought and then some process is done to get the nitrogen?
No, just we can directly get from the there only, because so much air is there. Just we have to compress only.
Yeah, it's given by Himanshu Sachan by pressure swing absorption, the mechanism actually nitrogen extracted that way.
Just only just from the atmosphere itself, we directly take, because the in air 79% is there, and I don't think any purification is required, because 79% is nitrogen, and I think 20% is oxygen only, and both is useful for us.
So directly you put the air, not the pure the nitrogen, right?
No, we are not curing the nitrogen. The
Okay.
nitrogen, curing the nitrogen for we can introduce in the another method. If we are going to make
Hmm.
inert gas generation, then we have to go for the purification of air. But in this case, we doesn't require this, because both the things are useful for us.
Okay. Thank you.
So just introducing the steam, just our sir told that yes, tomorrow, day after tomorrow there is no session for primary reform. That in primary reformer there is a steam reforming only. Steam reforming reaction happens where? The purpose of primary reformer to get CO2 and hydrogen only. And in secondary reformer, just in the section of the primary reformer, we will just introduce these things in the later one also. I will discuss in the detailed manner also. From primary reformer it goes to the secondary reformer. There also the reforming is occur, and after that it goes to the shift converter. And shift converters where the CO carbon monoxide is converted into the CO2 only. And the later on we will go for the CO2 removal section, because now the CO2 is not useful for us and it will go to the urea plant only, and in ammonia plants we require only nitrogen and hydrogen. And but the purification part of this, every process is not 100% purified. Okay, so just in the case where methanator is also there, in which the whatever the CO2 and CO, we are converting into the methane, because any oxide in this process stream is very poisonous for the catalytic reactor only. Yeah, that ammonia catalyst only, because it will be oxidized. So from the suction chiller there is syngas compressor, and this loop is called syn loop only, and from syn loop we are getting ammonia. So this is very simplified process. Now we are going to discuss each step one by one. So this is our natural gas supply. Natural gas comes at a 45 kg centimeter squares and around 20 to 30 degrees centigrade. It enters into our plant from various supplier. And the typical, this is, I have given the typical composition over here, in which 90% is the methane, other are ethane, propane, butanes and propane. So just we can say methane is we can consider for the reaction of purpose only the methane only, because 90% part is the methane. So the other things we are going to do, and NCV, and total NCV is 8500 to 8900, which is also very useful for us. So methane, ethane, propane, butane, these are all are hydrocarbons that C components delivered with CO2, and H component we are getting hydrogen. So first is desulfurizer of natural gas and naphtha. The main, if we will start any process, then first the things will become why we are doing these things. So as it is written over there that natural gas contains sulfur compounds in forms of sulfides, disulfides, mercaptan, sulfurs, and these sulfurs are the poisonous for the catalyst also. So before introducing into the primary reformer, that in the reforming section, okay, just we have to remove from here this sulfur only. Even the ppm's level of this sulfur also very dangerous for us, because once the catalyst will be deactivated, then in primary reformer section there are so many catalyst tubes are there, in which we are heating with the furnace only. If somewhere else, if the catalyst will be deactivated, then there will be one kind of hot spot, and maybe the tube may be punctured also from there. So removing of sulfur we are calling the desulfurization, and process which is employ absorption and adsorbent using the activated carbon. There are two processes in the industry. One is activated carbon and another is hot desulfurization by catalytic reactor, which is SDS and catalyst. The purpose is from the process stream we have to remove the sulfur. In activated carbon, it is a physical absorption. In the surface of the area of carbon, the sulfur will be absorbed, and there are two catalytic beds are there. One will always in the standby, and one will always in the line only. So that if the first bed is exhausted, the standby will be coming to the line, and the other one which is exhausted is regenerated from the stream. That means we can reutilize it. And in the case of the hot desulfurizer section, it is a catalytic reactor. So just from the SDS catalyst and ZNO, Okay. SDS first we are introducing hydrogen also, so that it can take the sulfur compound of this natural gas and makes H2S, and which will be absorbed by ZNO catalyst. So it is a two-bed catalytic reactor. So after removing of the sulfur from the natural gas, our next step is primary reformer. But before going into the primary reformer, just you have seen that the temperature of this stream is around 20 to 60 degrees centigrade. And in hot desulfurizer case, hot desulfurizer, the temperature of stream is 380 degrees centigrade. So from there, from 60 degrees centigrade to 380 degrees centigrade, there are series of heat exchangers, which we are heating from the furnace flue gases also, from various heat exchangers also, LP steam also. So just we have to heat up through various series of the heat exchangers. So primary reformer and reforming. If you will see in the reforming section, that we can say it is a heart of ammonia plant, because the main reaction which we are getting hydrogen is occur only here. So what we are going to do, that after the desulfurizer, the temperature of the stream is 380 degrees centigrade, and the pressure is around 32 kg only. So I want to tell my first year and second year, third year students only, that 32 kg per centimeter square. What you have understand? Because if you will understand, because this is only temperature pressure only, but at least what kind of extreme level is this, that you can understand only this. If you will see fire extinguishers in fire cannon, which is utilized by the firemen only, the pressure of that fire cannon is 7 kg, and here we are working at 32 kg centimeter square. Okay, so you can you can see the severity of this kind of reaction and this kind of stream also. Okay, so in primary reformer, what we are going to do, just we have seen the steam reactions also. So our purpose is getting CO2 and CO. So just I would like to tell you that the main things I will take the CH4, because 90% of our process stream is CH4 only. So I am considering only CH4 only. So CH4 react with steam, that is H2O, gives CO and CO2 and 3 hydrogen and 4 hydrogen. So now you can see that C component I am getting from here, and hydrogen I am getting from water also and from hydrocarbons also. So this is why in the initial itself I have taken, we are not taking hydrogen directly from there. We are taking the hydrogen from steam also in by another way. So, and this reaction is called steam reforming only. What we did, we have reformed the hydrocarbons in hydrogen and CO2 only. And this reaction is, we can say, from the DH, that means enthalpy difference. And this reaction is endothermic reaction. Okay, so for endothermic reaction, as we know, we require high temperature. Okay, and by reaction you can see in the reactant side there is only 2 moles are there, and in product side there are 4 moles are there. Okay, so if you will see that by the Le Chatelier principle, which we have learnt into the 12th classes, that low pressure and high temperature will favor this reaction. Okay, so but low pressure, if I have already seen that 32 kg it itself is a very higher pressure. And why we are going for, if we reduce the pressure, then this will we will come to know that the equilibrium equilibrium conversion will be decreased. But why we are not going in the further below? Because whenever there is a increase in the product, increase in the pressure, you will know that the volume will be decreased. And if I will reduce the pressure, then the volume will increase. So if I will reduce the pressure here, then you will see that my all reactor sizes will be drastically increased. That's why in the designing itself, because it is the 1974 plant design, and that's why we have not gone below to the 32 kg. And even if you will see in the new plants also, which is the latest plants and latest technology, then the reforming reaction is occur only 50 kg. That means, because if we are going to increase plant capacity, then in view of above, we have to see whether the volume is also, we have to deal with also gas volume also, and the higher the pressure, lesser will be the volume, and lesser will the size of the reactors also. So in above reaction, it may be noted that two-side arrow is yes, of course, both the reaction will be occur, and it can be proceed. And if this reaches the equilibrium, gas leaving in the reaction zone contains all the components shown in the both side of the arrow. So what is our motto here? To get hydrogen and CO2. But in case of CO2, we are getting CO also. So the reformer feed then passes through the catalytic packed reactor, which is, catalyst is nothing but is it a nickel based catalyst, and the temperature, this all reformer is furnace only. Reformer furnace only. So in the reformer furnace, the temperature of the flue gas side, that means furnace side, is around 1100 degrees centigrade. And in case of reformer tubes, which we just in the reforming section, we have entered this process stream around 525 degrees centigrade, and after the reactant, that means it is endothermic reaction, it absorbs the heat also, but after that when the reaction process stream comes out from the primary reformer, the temperature of this is around 780 degrees centigrade. This reaction is endothermic, it absorbs the heat, and the heat supplied by the burning of the fuel gases and naphtha. And catalyst used in the primary reformer is nickel based. So primary reformer and reforming. Excuse me, sir. In the case of the primary reforming, the gas analysis which you have analyzed at the exit of the primary reformer, that is hydrogen around 67%, nitrogen 0.37, which comes from our natural gas also, CO is 7.64%, CO2 is 11%, and methane, because no any process is 100% is conversion, nothing process is like that. Okay, so even the unreacted methane is also there, which we have to proceed in another section, which is called secondary reformer. So from here we came here in the primary reformer section outlet. Okay, and from primary section outlet we are going into the secondary reformer, where the process air comes into where the process airs is also come. So partially reformed gas from the primary reformer enters into the secondary reformer. The temperature, which I already told, around 780 degrees centigrade to 797 degree, and preheated process air gas. That means the air which is atmospherically present, we compressed it and compressed it around 32 kg centimeter, 32 kg, and we just heating up, because the first side we are getting that one stream is coming at 797 degrees centigrade. So we cannot directly introduce into the reactor cold air. So just we are after compressing into the compressor, the temperature of the air is approximate 200 degrees centigrade, and then it is further heated into the furnace. It's from the flue gas. Okay, and it is around 447 degrees centigrade. We are just introducing it into the secondary reformer, and just it is a one kind of mixer, air mixer also, where so from air what we are getting, nitrogen and oxygen. Okay, so nitrogen and oxygen, nitrogen we are just getting that much nitrogen which is useful for the our reaction for further processes, and for oxygen that is utilized here on combustion only, because as I already told that making the H2O is very energy, breaking the H2O is very energy extensive. So whenever the hydrogen is burnt from the oxygen, that is very exothermic reaction, highly exothermic reaction. Okay, so process air compressed by process air compressor and supplied it after the preheat in steam air preheat point located in the convection zone of primary reformer. In the primary reformer, once the from the radiation section, there is so many sections are there. In the catalytic tubes are in the radiation section, and the other section is coming in the convection zone, which is only utilized for the heat transfer, because we cannot directly send 1100 degrees centigrade directly into the atmosphere. So from 1100 degrees centigrade temperature of flue gases, through the series of the exchangers, the temperature of flue gases is reduced around 150 degrees centigrade, and then it is sent to the atmosphere from flue gas side of primary reformer. So we are having very high capacity in flue gas, which is utilized here to heat up this air. So what is happening into the primary reformer, that you can see that hydrogens is react with oxygen, gives steam, and of course nitrogen will be same, and it gives very extensive energy. So in the previous case, in the primary reformer, we have seen we are utilizing furnace here, but here we are not utilizing any kind of furnace, because this here our overall main motto is how to get CO2, CO and hydrogen. But here we can see that hydrogen is burning with oxygen, gives steam, and that steam or oxygen will react with methane, which is coming from in previous section also, and convert into the CO2 and CO, and of course hydrogen. So this is also nickel based catalyst reactor only, and but in case of the bed of the temperature of the bed will be around 1235 degrees centigrade. You can understand that from 782 degrees centigrade of process steam which is coming from the primary reformer, and the another air which is coming 447 degrees centigrade, and the energy which is coming from here, this reaction is so much extensive that our steam temperature and the reactor temperature is become 1235 degrees centigrade. So what we are doing here, this is secondary reforming only. Secondary reforming, we are just proceeding to the reforming reaction for CO2, CO and hydrogen. So the temperature of the gas exit at secondary reformer will be 961 degrees centigrade. Just you have seen that the catalytic bed temperature is around 1200 degrees centigrade, but here the reaction is endothermic reaction, steam reforming. The temperature will come down to the 960 degrees centigrade. From 961 degrees centigrade, if I am going to proceed for another section, which is shift reactions. So for shift reaction, if I will see, my temperature requirement there is around 380 degrees centigrade, but the temperature here is 961 degrees centigrade. So we have series of waste heat boilers only, and from there we are producing steam, which is utilized for our turbines, various turbines, syngas compressor and syngas compressor, process air compressors, refrigeration compressor, and many ID fan turbines. So many turbines are there. So whatever this temperature we are having in between, say, boilers, which is primary waste heat boiler and secondary waste heat boiler. From there we are reducing this temperature from 961 degree centigrade to 380 degree centigrade, and the composition which leaves from here is as follows. It is around 56% is hydrogen. If you will see in the previous case, in the primary reformer section, the hydrogen percentage is 67 around, but the here is hydrogen percentage is reduced. This is not because of the reaction. This is because of we are introducing the air also here. So the air composition is increased. So air volume is also added in the. That's why this hydrogen percentage is decreased, but overall the conversion has been increased. And just we can see the methane percentage is now over 0.56. As I already told, no process is 100% conversion. We cannot achieve any 100% conversion in any reactor, in any process only. And you can see here, there is carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide also. So carbon monoxide, it doesn't require carbon monoxide. Our requirement is only carbon oxide only, carbon dioxide only. So the further process which we are going to deal with, that is shift conversion. And shift conversion is that just we are going to convert this carbon monoxide into the carbon dioxide. So from there, from secondary reformer, we are going into the shift converters. Okay. So this is the basic reaction of shift converter. Okay. So in shift reactor, it is also exothermic reaction. That means if the exothermic reaction is there, it will always favor low temperature only. But I already told you, just the process which is a process stream which enters into the shift converter is around 380 degrees centigrade, and 380 degrees centigrade is very high temperature. So in this case, it is an exothermic reaction, and we can see here are also 2 moles and here is also 2 moles. So from here also, from steam also, we are getting 1 more mole of hydrogen only. Okay. So this reaction is also reversible, and carbon monoxide is converted into the CO2. So there are 2 stages in this shift converter also. First is high temperature shift converter, and another one is low temperature shift converter. In the high temperature shift converter, it is reacting around 380 degrees centigrade to 422 degrees centigrade at 31 degree kg pressure, and it contains approximately 1.8 to 2.8 of CO. So in STS, in LTS and STS, and we can see here in the process stream, STS is there, that is high temperature shift converter. There is a series of exchangers, and after that inlet separator, it goes to the LTS or the low temperature shift guard. Then it again goes to the shift or series of heat exchangers. We are just, because it is an exothermic reaction, so we are just losing the heat in heat exchangers, so that we can get towards to the equilibrium conversion. Then again it goes to the LTS, low temperature shift converter, and again we have to go for series of heat exchangers and boilers, the boilers only. And after this, all CO is converted into the CO2. Very minor CO will be there only for in there. So we can see in the high temperature shift conversion, the reformed gases enter into the high temperature shift reaction and it is react. So overall main basic is purpose of this shift converter is CO is converted into the CO2. And for high temperature converter, we are just getting the benefit because for any reaction, we have to get some activation energy for reacting, and the rate of the reaction is also very much depend on the temperature. If the temperature will rise, the rate of the reaction will also rise. So first, in high temperature shift converter, we are getting the benefit of rate of the reaction. Then if we will go for the proceed or for the equilibrium conversion, then we have to go for the further low temperature shift conversion, which is around working on the around 200 degree to 220 degrees centigrade and 240 degrees centigrade also if the catalyst is old. These all reactors are catalytic reactor. So from shift converter, just we have all CO, we have converted it to the CO2. So now if you will see in this stream, we are having nitrogen, hydrogen, little bit of methane, methane and CO2 and very minimum CO only. So our next process, if we are going to proceed for the ammonia manufacturing, that we have to remove CO2. So carbon dioxide removal. In this case, if we will see, we have to remove the carbon dioxide from the process stream. So this is achieved by absorption. So we are having very big absorption, CO2 absorber, and if you know that the absorber reaction is always favored by high pressure and low temperature. At high pressure, if you high pressure, okay, reaction is 32 degree, 32 kg there. But if you will see in the later on, the temperature is around 250 degrees centigrade. So it is further reduced by series of heat exchangers, and the reaction will occur here only at 60 degrees centigrade. So the absorber solution which we have utilized is activated methyl diethanol amine, which is utilized for the absorption of the CO2. So there is a counter current flow. Now you can see it is a two-stage media system. Absorber is here. The gas which is coming here, and these are the beds are there, and there is a semi-lean solution, MDA solution, and this is lean MDA solution. So there is a counter current flow in which the process here goes to the upper side, and around 49 degrees centigrade it goes to the another section which is methylator section. But whatever the rich section, that this after the absorption of CO2 we are getting say rich MDA here. So this rich MDA solution, because we have to regenerate this MDA solution for the reutilizing. So there is a two-stage of MDA system in which first we are utilizing by reducing the pressure. That means whenever any high pressure stream will goes to the low pressure, or if the pressure will be reduced, then the dissolved gases will be just evolve from this. That means it will be dissolved gases will be goes out from this stream. So this, and from the in case of this HV vessel and LP flash vessel, from here it is 4 kg, from here it is 2 kg around. So from the 2 kg, the more CO2 will be comes out from this, and after that this reaction is and the semi-lean MDA solution which is reintroduced here in the mid bed of the CO2 absorber, and one stream from the semi-lean MDA solution is goes to the stripper. Okay, this stripper, it will be goes to the stripper, and in the stripper the semi-lean solution is converted into the lean MDA solution, which is utilized at here for the more purification of the gas. So it is a two-stage MDA system in which MDA system is introduced in the between, which is semi-line. Most of the absorption is occur in these two beds only, and the other is purified here only. So from here, this is the two-stage MDA system. So this is the process only which I have already told here, that CO2 is absorbed here at here, and from it we can see that whatever the CO2 comes from the stripper and comes from the LP vessels, this the LP flash vessels, this from here it goes to the urea plant, because whatever the CO2 is generated in the at present in the plant, now we are just sending it to urea plant from here only. So almost all the CO2 is absorbed by the solution, leaving only traces of CO2 around 5 to 20 ppm CO2 in absorption outlet gas. The gas before leaving the tower passes through the demister pad to remove the entrainment of the solution. So that we just introducing the demister pad, so that in the MDA solution there will not be loss of MDA solution.
Excuse me, Avdeshji.
Yes, sir.
There's the one question from one participant. What are the typical differences between lean and rich solution actually?
Yes, lean and rich MDA solution, just it is a matter of CO2 loading only. What happens while we are the flashing, while we are flashing from here, the CO2 which is evolved from the here is very less, and the most, so we are not going to the further purification of the CO2. So what happened, the semi-lean solution which is already having CO2 also in this, so most of the solution which we are introducing here is semi-lean, that means it is not fully purified. Okay, so for most of the things which we, again, because it is a one kind of recycle process only, so just the lesser the purification, the lesser will be the energy intensive process. So what we are doing, we are just removing all the CO2 from here and here, but this is a one kind of reflux, you can say reflux also. So in the lean case, in lean MDA, which is coming from here, in lean case CO2 loading is very less. So just in lean MDA we are just that means the purification will be better. But we just want to achieve most of our purification in less energy extensive process, because stripping it is a very energy extensive process, but flashing, in a stripping what we are using here process side heat also. Okay, from the stripper we are heating, but in the flashing we are not introducing any heating, just we are simplifying, we are letting down the pressure only. The let down of the pressure itself, it is all the CO2 comes out CO2 here. So it is to make less energy extensive process, we are categorized into the two streams, which is semi-lean and lean solution. Okay, sir.
Okay.
So process is very big, sir. So if I will tell about these things, it will take only itself is in this process.
Yeah, I know, I can understand. So you can manage actually.
So from CO2 removal, CO2 is sent to the urea plant, and that CO2, that now what we have in this stream, we have mainly nitrogen, hydrogen, and very minimum in CO2 and CO. So you can see that here in the methanator, the component is hydrogen 73%, argon and nitrogen is 25%, and CO and CO2 is very less in ppm. But as I already told that this CO and CO2 is very poisonous for our further process. So what we have to do, we have to convert this CO and CO2 into the CH4, which is inert in the case of ammonia reaction. Okay, it doesn't take any participate in the ammonia. So what we will do, we will convert into the inert only, which is methane in this case. So for ammonia synthesis, very pure gas mixture, hydrogen and nitrogen, you can check the by ratio also. It is around 3:1 ratio. Okay, nitrogen just we are putting into the higher amount because whichever is the limiting reactant. Okay, in this case, limiting reactant is our hydrogen. We are producing these hydrogen, whatever or from primary reformer, shift conversion, secondary reformer, we are producing hydrogen. So with but the nitrogen we are having in abundance. So what we are doing, this is the limiting reactant. So just we are just putting excess nitrogen here, so that the conversion we can get more. So in the methanation reaction, it is a just reverse of reforming reaction, steam reforming reaction. In reforming reaction, we are utilizing methane and hydrogen convert into the CO and CO2. In here, we are just reversing the reaction. CO and CO2 is reacted with hydrogen, gives methane and steam only. And this water, this is also a highly exothermic reaction. The temperature is around 300 degrees centigrade. So for further, before compressing it, because as I already told, if the temperature is high, then the volume will also increase. So for the further reaction, as I already can see here in the methanation also, 73%, 25, the methane percentage is increased, and yes, CO and CO2 is very less now, 10 ppm. Now from the methanator, there are suction chillers also, suction chillers, suction exchangers, series of again heat exchangers are there, which is basically to reduce the temperature of this process steam which goes to the syngas compressor, because in any compressor, if the inlet temperature is less, that means the volume will be decreased, so it gives more volume efficiency if we are reducing the temperature in the process stream. So at here, if you will see, by introducing makeup gas in syngas compressor, our temperature is become 4 degrees centigrade. So from here 300, it goes to the 4 degrees centigrade only. So now we are coming into the main ammonia synthesis. Just I already told that nitrogen is react with 3 hydrogens, gives ammonia, 2 moles of the ammonia. It is, as we can see, that there is a 4 moles of nitrogen in the reactant side and 2 moles in product side. So it favors high pressure. Okay, and this is exothermic reaction. So it is, yes, the temperature will be less, the more will be conversion. So but as I already told that we cannot directly cool down the any reactants, because for getting the any proceed in any reaction, we require some activation energy. So for getting that activation energy, the temperature of the reactor should be around 380 degrees centigrade. That means 200 to 3. The more will be the temperature, the more will be the rate of the reaction, the more will be the activation energy. So that once the activation will be energy will be occur, then automatically the energy which is coming out from this energy will be more than the energy which we have already given to them. So a rise of temperature lowers the equilibrium conversion of ammonia at the same.
Excuse me. This actually But activation energy, if you will say that temperature is more, activation energy would be more,
No,
or activation energy would be independent of temperature?
yes, sir. I will say that activation energy is the independent of reactant. Sorry, reaction. Because for every reaction, certain activation energy is required. But
Right.
for the rate of the reaction,
Yeah, yeah. More is the
rate of
temperature,
the
more is
reaction,
the
we
conversion.
require more energy, more
Yes,
temperature.
yes. Correct, correct,
Sir,
correct.
because the exothermic and endothermic reaction is only because of just after achieving the activation energy, if the chart will be goes down, then it is endothermic reaction, sorry, exothermic reaction, and if chart is the above is the reactant energy, then it is the endothermic reaction.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so what we are going to, that is nitrogens and react with hydrogens gives ammonia. So the higher will be the pressure. So you can see in the previous stream, we are getting 32 kg, and from the various reactants and absorber and methonator, there will be a certain process drop, sorry, pressure drop. And in case of the suction of syngas compressor, that means before introducing into the synthesis loop, we have to compress this stream. And the pressure of this reactor is around 147 kg. Okay. So from 27 kg, we are just elevated into the 147 kg. So this reaction is occur at this much higher pressure. Even in the new plant, the pressure is around 200 kg. If the newer the plant, 200 kg. So you can check the severity of this process. If we are dealing with one side, we are dealing with around in the furnace 1100 degrees centigrade, and now the pressure is around 150 kg, and the hydrogen is a very explosive in nature. So if any leakage is occur, that is very, that means explosion and anything can be happen. But anyway, the safety features are always is there. So this is the converter. Okay, the converter feed is going from here. So I just this introduced as a I want to just give rough picture of what is the design of reactor only. Okay, what happening? This is happening only in this both the reactors. Only nitrogens react with three hydrogens gives ammonia. But if you can see, the design of reactor is so much complex that we are introducing here. It goes for the here, and this will be heated up to here. Then it will be go to the here, and this comes from the in this exchangers, and then comes it down here. And these are the beds of the catalytic reactor, which is iron only. And these streams are introduced for just to get more equilibrium, because now the gas is heat up from these exchangers, because this is the exothermic reaction. The heat will be maximum here only. So if it will go down, if it will go up for the another here reactant, and from here the process stream which goes to the here, then it will be came to know that the 135 degree centigrade temperature is here, but at the bed only it will be become 280 degree centigrade while we are introducing here. So this reactor itself is a one kind of heat exchangers and reactor also. Okay, and this is all walls are there for getting the equilibrium, because if once it is got more heated up because of the reactant, we just introduce the new low temperature feed so that we can get the more high conversion. In there, after the coming out from the first reactor, there is a boiler, and then it goes to the another reactor. And if you will see the design of this, both the reactants is very different. So if you will see from here, that the nitrogen is reacted with 3 hydrogens, gives the conversion is become 21%, which is where in the case of the inlet of this converter is around 2.21%. Now it is increased to the 21%. Okay, so now what we have to do? Yes,
This it is fixed bed reactor or something?
yes, fixed bed reactor.
So it is not the catalyst bed is not in the tube.
Catalyst is there.
It's not inside the tube, na? It's
No, not inside the.
bed is very wider.
These are
Okay.
the these are the beds only. These
Okay,
are the
okay. Yeah. So actually, the type of reactor in which category we should categorize this type of reactor?
No, it is fixed bed
Uh,
reactor only because the bed is not
yeah,
pressurized and anything else.
right. Configuration is very,
That's why
looking
just I just
complicated.
want to just simply I want to give the design because the design of the reactor itself is a very big engineering. So just I want to
Yeah.
this complex type of designs are there in the ammonia reactors. Okay.
Yes, right.
So now just I think I have to go fast only. So ammonia
Yes, please.
here it is ammonia is formed, and just the another section which we are going to deal with purification of this ammonia. The purification is done by refrigeration system. That refrigeration system, the first we are just just I already told you the temperature of around 390 degrees 395 degrees centigrade in the outlet of the converter. So from the 395 degrees centigrade, we have to go around 28 degree to 30 degrees centigrade to separate out the ammonia. So it goes to the series of again heat exchangers, which will we can say it is boiler, because boiler is also one form of the heat exchanger only. VFW preheater, coolers, chillers. It is only the name is the difference. All are heat exchangers only. And with these gases are cooled up to minus 28 degree to minus 30 degree centigrade, and then it goes to the ammonia separator where the ammonia is separated out, and this separated ammonia is utilized in a two different manner. First, refrigeration section. If the you will say the primary purpose of the refrigeration section to make available in refrigerant ammonia in the different, because chillers, in chillers we are utilizing ammonia only, so that we are just condensing the ammonia by ammonia only by utilizing the latent heat of ammonia. So this is the refrigeration section. Okay, the purpose of refrigeration section is only to purify, to condense the ammonia. So from the 130 degrees centigrade, it is let down to 70 kg degree centigrade, and 70 kg degree centigrade ammonia. We are just the ammonia, the gases will be dissolved. Most of the gases will be flushed out from it, and the product ammonia, which is sent to the urea plant, and and sorry sir. So the product of the urea, the product of this stream, that means ammonia, we are sending to ammonia storage tanks in case of if the urea plant is shut down. And if ammonia storage tank, if the urea plant is running, we are just directly sending it at 70 kg to at 70 kg at the urea plant only at around 40 degrees centigrade. And in case of if we have to send to ammonia storage, we have to further let down and we have to reduce the temperature also. So this is the purification and product rundown only. The main purpose is this for this purification is how to give ammonia to urea plant only. So just now something is coming in the purge gas system. Okay. If you will see in the syn loop, that means in the ammonia formation loop. So what is happening? We are just adding in the methane also as an inert. If we are introducing methane and we are taking ammonia out, the concentration of the methane in the loop will increase. So if you will see if the if any loop or any stream, if the concentration of the inert will increase, then we require more pressure and the conversion will also reduce. Okay, and we require more pressure. So just for reducing it, we are just purging it out from this loop. And yes, of course, in purge gas system, they are having methane. To limit the methane, we are purging the system. But in this case, ammonia is also there, hydrogen is also there. So there is a separate section of purge gas recovery system in which we are getting hydrogen and ammonia back to our system. So this is overall the ammonia plant in which we have started from the LNG. We are desulfurizing, reformer, secondary reformer, then shift converter. There we have converted CO into the CO2. Then CO2 is not useful for the ammonia plant. So just we have removed from here and we have sent to the urea plant. And this traces of CO and CO2 is converted into the methane, which is inert for the syn loop. And in this syn loop, we are just say after the syn converter, we are taking out ammonia here, and whatever the gases we are sending again into the syn loop. So this is the syn loop, and this is a purge gas, and from PGR another purge gas. From purge gas we are sending into the purge gas recovery system, and whatever the product we are getting hydrogen, then we are again it is sending into the syngas compressor. So this is the overall very brief description of ammonia plants. So now we are going to for urea plants. Any question is there, sir?
It's going well. We are getting better, good insight of the plant actually. It's looking like that.
Actually, we are the officer, sir. We are not very good in the presentation, but
no. We are just getting very good insight of the plant actually. What happens and.
But let me tell you, whatever the students which are connected in this forum, let me tell you, it's all about is the energy balance and material balance.
Yes.
Nothing is more than that. Also, we are doing energy and material balance only.
It's very good. Continue.
Okay, sir. So before going into the urea plant, that urea is very industrial process. It is dissolved. This is only the basic information of the urea plant. It is used in the agriculture field, fertilizer. Urea is also called carbamide, and the formula is CO and NH2. So you can see from here only, we require 1 mole of CO2 and 2 moles of NH3. So this is the urea plant reaction. You will see the urea plant reaction that our raw material is ammonia and CO2. Okay, for manufacturing the urea fertilizer. So the urea produced by the reacting liquid ammonia and gaseous CO2 at 180 to 185 degrees centigrade and 145 to 155 kg pressure. So you can see the severity also here. Because ammonia itself is a hazardous compound, even if in ppm also, it is very dangerous to the life. So you can see the severity of this process, that we are dealing with the ammonia, that means ammonia, we are dealing with the hydrogen, we are dealing with a very elevated temperature, we are dealing with very high pressure. So the process chemistry which comes, that I already told you, that 2 moles of the NH3 react with CO2 gives urea and 1 mole of water. So after the formation of this urea, the whole process comes to remove this water only. So just I already want to tell that getting 50% mass is very easy, but after once it is 70, it is more tough. Even if you are 90, it is more tough. And getting in the 92 or 90, 99, it will be the more tougher. So you can see the 1 mole of H2O is formed here. So all other process is related to the how to remove this water from the process stream. So the formation of the reaction is this, and we can know the first is ammonium carbonate, and ammonium carbonate is exothermic reaction, and after the exothermic reaction, the carbonate is dissolved, that means dissociated into the two with the help of the heat, that means and gives urea and water. So this is exothermic reaction, this is endothermic reaction. That means formation of the carbonate requires, it doesn't require heat, and but the formation of urea is required heat from here. So overall reaction is exothermic reaction. There is some biuret formation is also, that will be in the another form, because biuret we don't want to the form of the biuret, but in the process parameters is diverted, then some biuret is also formed. So this is the process diagram of urea, that NH3 and CO2 is goes into the HP section, where the main reaction is occur. That means urea will be manufactured here only, and the remaining other remaining process is related to.
Avdesh ji,
Yes, sir.
uh, can we say this biuret as a dimer of urea, means two monomer of urea combines and gives the dimer of urea? Is it like that?
It is like that only, sir. By the
Okay.
reaction also you can see, sir. It is a dimer, but NH3 will be, and we don't want to form this kind of reactant, because in the FCO, that fertilizer control order, the limit of the biuret, anyway any reaction will be occur only in little manner only, because we have to favor these reactions only. We have to not favor this reaction, but this reaction is occur in the process only, because in somewhere the favorable condition of this can be there on, and biuret will be formed. So in by the norms of the fertilizer control order, our norms are around, it should be less than 1.5%.
Okay.
Okay, this you can see it is a undesirable product of this reaction.
Okay.
So NH3 and CO2 goes into the HP section, and from there HP section it is goes to the low pressure system, where LP carbonate we are recirculating into the ammonium carbonate, we are recirculating into the HP section, and thus some gases is also coming into the outcome to the HP section, which goes to the LP scrub, LP absorber, and from there it is ammonia scrubbing is there. Whatever the process is, whatever the gases this is comes from the out from the here, we absorb all the ammonia and CO2 from there, and then again it is sent to the just, it is all about recirculation and recycle of this process. This process looks very simple in this case, but if you will see in the stream, that means if you will see in the complex, then you will forget about this process if this process is something else. So process of urea production is steps is following operation: ammonia and CO2 supply and CO2 compressor, synthesis section, which we can HP section, then another section, these two sections is related to LP sections, in which evaporation and filling, that means removing of water, and whatever the LP carbonate that we have to recirculate into the system. And this is the prill cooling system. It is neem coated urea system, and of course in ammonia also steam and condensation system will be there, and hydrolyzer stripper system. So this is overall flow sheet of ammonia plant. So this is HP section. This is LP section, LP recirculation system. Then it comes to the evaporation section. Then it goes to the filling section. And I think I am unable to see. You can see this full picture. Hello, sir. Okay, no problem.
Yes, this process flow diagram you are talking of?
I am telling about the process because I am unable to see here this side.
This PFD, I can see. PFD diagram for urea I can see. This is the only slide now displayed to me.
Okay, so there is a ammonia and CO2 supply and ammonia compressor. Okay, from ammonia plant we are getting at 40 degree centigrade temperature and 20 kg at 20 kg. And in some cases, in the case of startup of the process, startup of ammonia plant, we are getting the CO2, but we are not able to get ammonia supply from ammonia plant. So just we can get ammonia from ammonia storage tanks also. So it is pumped by HP section. You can see that 20 kg pressure is there, and it is pumped up to 150 kg centigrade, 150 kg centimeter square. And CO2 supply, yes.
There's a question from one of the participants. Is there any application of biorate?
No application of, there is no any application of biorate.
So this will go completely waste?
No, it will not go into the waste. Yes, you can say maybe because it goes to the only through the raw material, that urea only. Because once it is converted into the urea, but that urea contains around 1% or 0.8% biurate also. Okay. But it is not dissolved and it cannot be absorbed by plant only. So it is just wasted by, that means after the, that means in farmers when it is utilized in urea, if we are putting the urea into the plants, then the plants only take nitrogen from urea only, they cannot take from biurate. So it will be just dissolved into the, that you can say into the water, and it will be go out from the air. Maybe it will be decomposed somewhere else.
Okay.
It remains as an impurity.
Impurity only. But anyway, any compounds, and this is my personal view, if any compound, it will be decomposed somewhere else. But at there in the section of the plant section, that will not be decomposed. Maybe some favorable condition will be somewhere else, because CO and NH3, CO and hydrogen compound is there. It can be, reactant can be anywhere else. But for us, it is impurity. Okay, sir. Then the CO2 compression. CO2 which comes from the ammonia plant is around 1.2 and 1.3 kg, and the maximum temperature is around 60 degrees centigrade. As I already told you, for any compressor in the suction, we have to cool down as much as we can, so that the compressor efficiency will be increased. So from 60 degrees centigrade, we are cooling down into the 40 degrees centigrade, and this carbon dioxide with air is compressed around 151 degrees, 151 kg, and the temperature is around 180 degrees centigrade by CO2 centrifugal compressor and supplied to HP synthesis section. In this synthesis section, we can see we are having the four vessels, which is HP condenser, autoclave, HP scrubber, and HP stripper. This is HP stripper, this is HP condenser, and HP scrubber, and this is autoclave. But now you can see beauty of this full system. If you will see that there is so many heights in the process, that HP scrubber is the top, HP condenser is here, and autoclave is here, and HP stripper is here. If you will see this beauty, for the whole hydraulics, if the process flow, that means process streams from go down, its flow will be occur only because of the hydraulics only. There is no any pump at here. If you will see in the process stream. So this is, that means this 150 kg, if it will be processed to here, then also the some flow will be there, then it will be condensed.
So,
and then
why don't we have pump due to some constraint, or
it doesn't
or
require,
we cannot put the pump?
it doesn't require, because
Okay,
we require only
so
head
the
only.
so the
We require
gravity
only
flow
head.
is more than a.
We require only head, and because of this vessel's height, we get that much head to circulation in this system, HP system. Because height of this HP scrubber is around 5170 meter from the ground level.
Why is it so?
Sir, that's why, sir. Why we require pump, sir? If you are getting without pump, you are getting the head. And first,
Oh, that way. So in that means you are cutting down the need of pump.
here we can say we are cutting down the need of the pump, and the another, if we can say that the off gases in the HP scrubber, what we are getting just the off gases and vapor. If the vapor is converted into the liquid carbonate solution, that will be in the vapor, from the vapor form it goes to the up, and in the liquid form, the automatically head will be generated. So it is a beauty of this process, you can say. So there is a HP condenser, autoclave, HP scrubber, and HP stripper. The whole process is
means sir, Avdesh ji wants to say us that the stripper is operating already at very high pressure, that is say
Yeah.
150 bar, and the scrubber is at only 70 meters. So that already gives a very high difference of pressure to transport the
sir.
liquid to that height. Is it so?
No, sir. That whole system, whole loop pressure, because we have to maintain the
Yes.
loop pressure. Whole loop pressure is around 150 kg, but the additional height ahead,
Okay.
gives the flow. Because if the here I am also 150 kg, here also I am having 150 kg, here also I am having the 150, but the system is having certain pressure drop. Because without pressure drop,
Yes, that will be there. So you mean to say the flow is occurring only because of the gravity flow,
Gravity flow,
because
yes.
of the height of scrubber.
Height of
Okay,
the
okay.
scrub, height of the autoclave, height of the reserve, because of from the autoclave there is a height difference in the HP stripper. So this happens. Okay, sir.
So downward flow is happening, but if again from circulation, if circulation is there, so to establish that circulation, how we are taking care for the upward flow?
First, sir, the upper flow. What you say, sir?
Means in scrubber there will be requirement of circulation, continuous circulation.
Yes, sir. Continuous circulation is there. What we
Yeah,
are
yeah.
getting HP scrubber here.
Mm.
In HP scrubber, all the vent gases are going there. And
Right,
if you
right.
see, we are scrubbing from the one more ammonium carbonate solution. Okay. That solution also provide, and the scrubbing with ammonium carbonate solution that absorb the vent gases, off gases, which is coming from the HP condenser, and this and that head. That means this head, because once it is head, that will be recirculated from here, and this will circulate here.
Okay, I see.
It is very complex, sir. Once the any flow will be disturbed, then it is a very big headache for us, sir.
Right.
Stabilizing in the flow here only. It is a very big role, sir.
Yeah, you are taking care of delta P's.
Yes, we are taking care of the delta P's. So this is also the flow diagram. Or in the synthesis section, liquid ammonia goes to the HP carbonate condenser and autoclave, and CO2 goes to the HP stripper, where it is counter-currently contact with the liquid effluent of the autoclave. That means the liquid effluent which is coming here, and CO2 is coming from here. Okay. For stripper, I already told, for stripping we required exothermic reaction. Sorry, yes. For stripper we require energy. So 23 eta steam we are introducing here, which is converted into the condensate, and then whatever the latent heat of the 23 eta is heating the ammonium carbonate solution and favoring the urea formation. And liquid from the bottom HP stripper goes to the LP recovery section, and vent gases from the LP stripper is condensate in the HP carbonate condenser with the help of ammonia and carbonate solution. And 23 eta is used for stripping HP stripper, and 4 eta steam is generated in HP condenser. Just I already told you, sir, that overall reaction is an exothermic reaction. So in HP condenser we are generating the steam, and in HP stripper section we are using the 23 eta steam. Once the carbonate solution is in HP carbonate, then it goes to the autoclave, and in autoclave we can say in the autoclave it is a reactor. So the main conversion of the urea from ammonium carbonate to urea is happen in the carbonate only in autoclave only. From there it is around the 30%, and in stripper it will be goes up around 50%. So the conversion of the carbonate to urea is achieved during the residence times of 1 hour. So as much as we give the residence time at 180 degrees centigrade, the more will be the conversion. But we cannot give so much time at there in the autoclave only, because it favors the biurate formation also. So we have to maintain also some residence times in there only. So in the LP recirculation, now you can see from 150 kg pressure, we are let downing it from 2.8 kg to 3 kg. Okay, from 150 kg to 2.8 kg. So most of the ammonium carbonate, okay, from HP stripper around 50% conversion we achieved in the urea. So most of the ammonium carbonate is converted into ammonia and CO2 again, and it is sent to the rectification column. There are so many flash stack separators and condensers. There again we are condensing all of the ammonia and CO2, and we are just all ammonium carbonate, and then we are sending it back to the HP loop, that is HP stripper. So the temperature is solution drops from 120 degrees centigrade, and again it is heated up. the heating is required only for, then it is sent to the flash tank separator. Again we are reducing the temperature pressure, and after reducing the pressure, just the dissolved gases is flashing out, and the summer, and these gases is we are recovering to the LP recirculation system and LP condensate and LP absorbers. Then the there the ammonium carbonate will be formed, and then we are sending back into the loop only. Now just I already told you that in each mole of the urea, one additional mole of water is also there, and for purification we have to remove all the water. So just you can see here it is 2.8 kg, here it is 1.15 kg, and now we are working in the vacuum. So as the pressure will be decreased, so the boiling point of the water will also reduce. So in this case, the water vapors will be comes out from the process. So concentration of the urea will be increased, and at the level of the pre-evaporator, we get approximate 80% concentration of urea. And now it is come evaporation and preheating section. So for preheating of urea, we required approximate 99.5% of concentration. So there is a series of again evaporation section, in which again we are heating up this solution, and we are working in the vacuum. In the first evaporator, it is around 532 mmHg, and in secondary evaporator it is we are work on the 690 and 710 mm of Hg. So the main purpose of this section is to concentrate urea solution, and the water which will be evaporated from here. This will be go to the condenser section, condensers and coolers, and that water is also useful for us. We will not send it directly from there. Just we are getting that ammonia, CO2 and water, whatever we will get, that we are sending into the hydrolyzer sector. From there we just ammonia and CO2 again we will get from there, from stripping, and the water which is very less in ppm, that is the water which contains very less ammonia at around 5 ppm, that water we are sending to the cooling water makeup, that means cooling tower makeup. So this is the evaporation section again, and the preheating section. That once the preheating, that means after the secondary evaporator, we are sending around 99.5% of that molten urea into the one tank, and from there it is pumped to the preheating tower, and our preheating tower height is around 71 meter. From the top of the 71 meter, from the top of the prill tower, it is spread to the prill tower by rotating prill bucket. So sir, you can say it is a bucket which is having the perforated mesh, and from there all the solution is converted into the droplets, and the air which is coming from the downside of the prill tower, it pulls the air, and it from the solution it forms the crystallization is occur in prill tower, and after that it is the prill of the urea is formed at the bottom of the prill tower.
Actually, can I ask something here?
Yes, sir.
In preheating tower, actually, in case of bucket, why don't we have something sparger type of thing?
Sparger, sir. Actually, first the flow is very high, sir.
Sparger, or let's say very high pressure flow distributor type of thing.
And the other thing, the bucket is rotating, sir. It is at a
Okay,
very
okay.
high speed, around
Okay.
2100 RPM.
So you want to say that is bucket or that is some sort of the cylinder with perforated
No, no,
holes
sir.
and the rotating something?
In technical term, you can say it's a bucket on, but in Roman bucket only, it is a design of bucket, but you can say it is equipment in which
Okay.
from the upper side we are introducing the
Liquid or
molten area, and when it is rotating, it forms the
uh,
umbrella. It forms the
okay.
umbrella so that in the case of the Peel Tower, because the Peel Tower is around I think 35-meter dia.
Okay.
So we will get the better umbrella and we
Hmm.
can utilize the very effective dia of that field tower so that the cooling will can be very effective.
Okay, okay, okay.
The main purpose of bucket in the rotating, we are using just the centrifugal force, and we are just making the umbrella, sir, so that we can use the maximum area of that field tower for the better cooling.
So for that, one bucket is the sufficient?
So
What should
one
be
bucket is
the typical
sufficient.
bucket size?
No, no, sir. One bucket is the sufficient. You cannot take two buckets, sir,
Okay,
because
okay, okay.
according to the that bucket, because if we are rotating something, that means some dia will be there in the centrifugal force, and dia comes to the dia only. If we are putting two bucket, then
Hmm.
the effective dia cannot be utilized. Some portion
Okay.
will be
Right,
there.
right. Some portion you have to use for clearance and all this, right?
Clearance.
So
Only some portion will be, some air will be escaped from there.
correct, correct. Right, right. You are right.
So once we get the pill at the bottom of the pill tower, the temperature of the pill is around 100 to 80 degrees centigrade. So we have to before going into the packaging unit, we have to get down this temperature around 50 to 60 degree temperature. So this prelim this field cooling system is there, which is fluidized bed cooler, and it is a perforated plate type is there, in which the going from the downside, and the urea pills cool down, and the cooled urea is sent to the product conveyor where where it is coated by the neem. So here it is also some portion of the some ammonia, some portion of the dust will be goes to the upper side, and there that dust we are just recycling waste through cyclones, cyclone section.
Excuse me. How are you controlling the thickness of this neem coating on this urea, or you are not controlling it?
Thickness is not we are not controlling. We are just analyzing the ppm level of the that coating. You will see, if you will see, even you will not feel like it is coated.
Okay.
You will not feel like a coated. Just we are just that means putting some from sparger. We are just oiling it through the sparger and separators.
So
So that
coated urea would be the yellowish type in characteristic? Or-
greenish yellow,
Okay, okay.
the greenish yellow, very light greenish yellow.
Mm-hmm.
The
Okay,
neem
thank you.
coated urea system is there for coating the urea. So we have the spray nozzles, and from spray nozzles spray, we are just spraying the neem oil into the product conveyor only, and from there it is transferred to the bagging plant and or silo. From the plant transfer conveyor where it is packaging. So neem oils also we are having the tanks, and it is also having the steam coils also, for so that the temperature will not be go down below the 60 to 75 degrees centigrade. Now it is there is a steam and condenser system also. We are utilizing steams at the various stages, and based on the process requirement, we are utilizing that type of spray based on the process. Just you can say 60 eta we are utilizing in the CO2 centrifugal compressor, 23 eta we are utilizing in the 23 eta we are utilizing the SP stripper hydrolyzer and stripper SP stripper offline gas and stream casing. 23 eta we are utilizing into the later on the 90 eta we are utilizing into the second year. So it is a various, that means stages of the streams. 4 eta also we are utilizing in the tracing also, in induction machine also, and in tracing also. So that means in the pre-evaporator, evaporator, wherever we can utilize the LP stream, we are utilizing is the to make our plant energy efficient. This is hydrolyzer stripper system that I already told you that whatever the ammonical water and ammonical water we are getting from the evaporation sections, which that we are sending into the hydrolyzer section, where the main reaction is occur through only stripping only, and we are getting ammonia and CO2 back into the system, and whatever the water which we will get, that we are sending into the cooling towers as a makeup water. So these are the various parameters in HP section. Just I already told you HP pressure control, key high pressures favor the urea conversion, and maintain high pressure. Just I already told you high pressure favor the urea conversion. Even into the HP condenser also, 4 eta steam pressure is also very crucial for us, because if we are reducing the we are reducing the pressure, the saturation temperature will be decreased, so we will not get that much effective, that boiling point saturation temperature will be decreased, so the more steam can be formed, more steam can be generated. Temperature control for maintaining HP scrubber overflow temperature 140 to 150 degrees centigrade. Carbamate solution is around 75 degrees centigrade. We have to maintain, but that means temperature control is everywhere. And feed temperature of NH3CO2 should not be also low to save the energy. Now the azeotropic composition. We have seen into the LP section that azeotropic composition is from the ammonia and CO2. That whenever there is a distillation, some distillation process, the azeotropic composition is like at that temperature, the boiling temperature of both the two elements is same for that composition. So sometimes it is beneficial for us. That is, ammonia and CO2 it comes out from the process at the same times and makes the carbamate. But in case of it is in the LP section we are utilizing this kind of compositions. Excess water, I already told you, sir. Excess mole and water, and we are getting excess water, and we are reducing the water in the system so that we can get more concentration. This is the yield of the urea. If the water can be added here, you can see if the water will be increased, your urea yield will be decreased. Flow, yes, flow will be, of course, it is residence times. We have to, reaction takes to the 20 minutes, but in our autoclave it is 1 hour to attain that, because it varies for the reactor to reactor also. High resistance times favor the equilibrium conversion, but we cannot go for the more time, because if you will increase the time, it will be increase that bionate formation also. Labels is also very important, because it will everywhere in scrubber, autoclave, in HP stripper, label plays very big role. Safety, yes, I already told you hydrogen, oxygen, ammonia. We are already so much, and that means so much hazardous processes that streams are there. So we have to maintain the safety. Safety is there, and 150 kg pressure is there. So rupture disc, RV for safety purpose in each and every section. Biorate formation is there, 2 moles of urea and heat. As I already told you, if the temperature will be high, biorate formation will be the more. So increase with temperature, urea percentage and high resistance time, it increases. Reaction is fast at above 125 degrees centigrade and low with high ammonia in reactant. Safe limit for us, it is 1.5. So now overall we can see this is our process diagram in which air, natural gas and steam we are inserting into the ammonia plant. There we are getting ammonia and surplus ammonia we are sending into the ammonia storage tank. And carbon dioxide and ammonia we are sending into the urea plant, and we are getting urea from there, and just we have put here DF also, because the urea from urea plant we can produce DF also. So this is the overall things. In a very small level we can understand that air and natural gas is introduced here in the reforming section, in which CO, hydrogen, CO2 formed, then goes to the shift converter, then goes to the CO2 removal, CO2 goes to the stripper, and other gases goes to the magnetor, into the synthesis gas, then into the refrigeration section, and from refrigeration section, ammonia goes to the storage, and this is goes to the HPC and reactor also. And from there here, from the reactor, that means autoclave, the urea and comes here, and in HP stripper from percentage here around 50%, in LP and filtration section is around 99.5% comes here. There is a bucket, as I already told you sir, the air is going here, there are a ID fan. So bucket is here and umbrella is formed here. So the better the umbrella, the better the area we can utilize this. If the umbrella will not be very good, then the air circulation, air can be escaped without cooling the frills. And the other is PCS and those things. So now I will come for the major concerns. The major concerns in the current status. For the fertilizer section, yes, it is always the government policy, because without government permission we cannot sell out the urea also, and all dispatch of the urea goes to the Ministry of Fertilizer, and we have to send direct in each and every production data of urea into the Ministry of Fertilizer site on daily basis. Pending subsidy is also for issue for us, because as per you know that for manufacturing urea is very cost of the production is high, but we are not getting that much amount from the farmers. So the government is giving subsidy, the difference of that amount. So the
are the farmers are the only consumer of the urea, or it also has some industrial applications also?
So for industrial utilization, they have to procure at market price. That will not be that cannot be directly taken from the subsidized price.
No, that is the different part. I mean to say, you were saying that you are not getting right price from the urea due to the subsidy. That's fine, but urea may have this other commercial applications, so that cost may be the recovered from the consumers.
And that's why I am telling that it's all about the government policy. Government cannot allow directly sell into the open market.
Okay.
We can whatever the production, because government has given the resource only for making urea for here only, for farmers only. That resources cannot be utilized for the market. That
So at the same time, government says we are in loss, and they are not also allowing to sell also.
that's why I am taking around 14,000 crore.
Uh,
14,000 crore subsidy spending for from the government for us. So it is very difficult. If you will see, many fertilizers plants has been closed because of what? Because subsidy is not coming, and we have to run plant procure after the raw material. We have to procure the raw material. So we require some kind of finance also. So if they are not having the finance and they are not getting the subsidy at a proper time, so most of the time the fertilizer sector will be but the fertilizer industry will be closed. And you can see